So hi Aydin, hi Orkun.
Hi.
It's nice to have you both, current champions, in front of me. If you're ready, we could start. I have some
Sure.
questions for
Mhm.
you guys. That's the obviously the COVID-19 pandemic is it's the middle of our lives. I would like to ask you some about your opinion about the pandemic right now. What do you think?
Mhm.
What do you guys think about the effects of pandemic on our lives? Aydin, what's the situation in Germany right now? How do you deal with it? Are the coffee shops open? How the roasteries deal with it? How the baristas deal with it? And after that, I will ask Orkun the same ones, same questions.
Okay,
So,
I just
go ahead.
yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, please.
In Germany, the situation is like this: that actually, like a week ago, the requirements get eased a little bit, but we are still in a lockdown. So it means that everything is basically closed, and that you now can like make arrangements or appointments if you want to like go somewhere, for example, to the hairdresser or somewhere. And like it's a little bit better, but from November till the end of February, it was a total lockdown basically. For the gastronomy is still to go. Like all coffee shops, restaurants, roasteries, they can serve to go. And basically in comparison to like now it's already a year. And in comparison to a year ago, I would say that yeah, you feel that people are impatient and like of course that they're yeah, that the situation is becoming a little bit more stressful for everyone, and that people really need to know when we can go back to our old situation. This is like probably the most hardest thing. But yeah, like from the coffee shop side, I would say the to go is working quite well. I mean, it depends which location you have. The roastery and the coffee shop I'm working for, we have two shops and a roastery, and luckily our locations are quite good in Berlin. So the to go business is going all right, I would say.
Yeah, great.
Because of the roastery side, like yeah, people order online a lot or more than before.
Nice. So the orders for the roasteries are at least at the same level as before the pandemic, we can say, right?
Yeah, at least the same or even better, I would say, because like the pandemic, lots of people used to get equipment for home. I feel like everyone is a barista now because everybody got it for home and equipment. So yeah, you can feel that.
What about the demand for education? Is it increased, the demand for education?
I would say yes, but like as coffee schools and all the workshops are not possible at the moment, like people to educate themselves and use like YouTube and whatever. So I would say maybe the awareness is now a little bit higher for coffee and how to make coffee. But
nice. I see. Okay. So Orkun, what about you guys? What's the situation in Turkish coffee industry about with the pandemic? Well, we know that the coffee shops were closed for at least 4 months or something like that since November, but it's recently opened. People can go to coffee shops with some precautions, of course. But what about demand for education and demand for roasted coffee? Do you think people also began brewing in their homes?
Actually, 4 months ago or 3 months ago, the coffee shop's not closed, but we can sell only takeaway coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's too low. We have too low salaries about this, and we have lots of orders at the roastery. Most of people brew at home. Also,
Yeah, so
lots of people start to brew at home. Maybe it's a good side of this situation.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a positive side to it also. People got more into coffee. They began. Yeah, that's so.
2 weeks ago, restriction is a little bit lower. You can sell coffees in the coffee shop, and customers sits and drink coffees in the coffee shop right now. But still not that going good. And cases are really too high in 2 weeks. Maybe Ministry of Health explain new restrictions. I don't know. Yeah.
I see. So it seems it's getting better in both countries. Quite different cultures, but I think it goes parallel to each other. You know, people were afraid. The lockdown was there was a lockdown, but people are trying to get in ease a little bit. So, guys, I want to ask you about your championships. You guys are both current champions. One of you is a barista champion, and one of you is a Brewers Cup champion. And I've also been in the backstage of the championships for many years right now, and I know a bit about the situation there. But I want to ask you guys how you guys prepare to these championships, because you know it's a really long process, and I think people who want to compete or who watch competitions want to know, and they are curious about how do these baristas train and practice for their competitions, and when do they start, and how do they practice. And let me ask you, first of all, is about when do you start practicing for a championship? How many months before? And how do you start looking for your coffee, the coffee to use in your championships? Because this takes a long time, and is a seasonal thing. And if you want to use a coffee from a certain origin or a certain fermentation, you have to buy the coffee at the right time. So, Aydin, how do you look for coffee, and when do you start preparing, practicing for your championship? What's your opinion about this? How do you do it?
So yeah, basically, I just tell a little bit from my experience from the last championship from last year.
Nice.
So in total, I had time of 4 months. And one of these 4 months was an origin trip. So, I mean, the whole process was 4 months. And luckily, I had the chance to go to Colombia. I was pretty sure that I use a coffee from Colombia. So that's like, I made my schedule that I can go to the origin before. And so I had like a very strict program, to be honest, as I moved to another city just for the championship. So not at the city where I used to work before. So I made a program before how I'm gonna do this. And so I sourced the coffee as I knew that I want to have in Colombian coffee. I tried lots of different Colombian coffees. And as far as I have chosen my coffee, I traveled to Colombia by knowing the farm and by knowing the region where my coffee is coming from. So that helped me to go like very strict and direct to the farm and to meet the people and the producer, instead of like going around from farm to farm and searching for the right coffee. So I had like, I saved time. And then like I tried to use the time at the farm for getting all the information about this coffee and why this coffee is so specific. So what I can recommend if someone goes to the origin, to the farm, like get every information out of the coffee you can get. That helped me a lot. Like I had that personal bond to the coffee even more. So, and then when I came back, like the intense practice time began, or preparation time. And basically it was like roasting the coffee, like sample roasting the coffee, then trying different, like I think what we did was always 2 or 3 different roasts, and I tried them every day for 20 days. So to see how this coffee will develop. So it's very time intense, and I spent like every day on it, but it was really worth it. So I just tried this coffee every day to see how it develops and when the peak of this coffee is there. And after we had like the roast profile, I started to concentrate on recipes, like to see how the espresso would be perfect, and tried a lot, compared, measured TDS and what all the like comes together when finding recipes for espresso. And this is like, and then slowly you work like further, and then like recipe for the milk beverage, then you have like already some ideas about the signature beverage. And basically when you have this, you start to plan your presentation. Like what's your goal? What's your message for the judges and for yourself? Like what's important for yourself to communicate? And this is like my personal way how I got there. And what I always can recommend, like small steps, like I did like weekly goals to reach, so that it's not like the very big mountain in once. And that worked very well for me, to be honest.
Well, planning is the key for you, it seems. You know, it's really a long process from going to origin, the you know, learning about it, seeing the coffee, tasting it, and roasting it, and you know, the recipes and things. So as you said, it's really hard to, you know, climb a high mountain at once, but you know, planning week by week, day by day, and tasting and, you know, practicing, it's really important, I think. And I want to ask one before going back to Orkun. Did you have a coach, and did somebody help you? Who did you work with? Because I know some baristas who like tasting alone, who like to just, you know, go with their own taste buds. And I've seen some baristas with a large team, 3 or 4 people coaching and helping them. So what was your situation in your training?
Yeah, that's a good topic, I would say. So basically the first competition I've done was like by myself and without any experience from someone who has already been to competition. So it was like, okay, let's see. I will just do it the way I think it's right. And what I realized very fast, that was good, that was okay. But if you really have the goal to win, or if you aim that or want to aim that, you need to have person or a team which supports you. First of all, like for me it's a team event, these competitions. It's not just, you are not one-man show. And the best thing you can do is to get a team whose experience is like, or who has already competition experience. So what I've did is that I contacted Erna Tosberg. Like I know her, like she's an international judge and also a competitor in Germany. She won twice before. So I asked her if she would be interested in training me, and so she agreed. And that was the reason I moved to Münster, like where she is located. And this is like a thing I can also recommend to everyone: get a team who has experience, because it's so important. Some things you can't know before. You just know when you have these experience, and as you need to go like down the score sheets, and like it's a competition, you need to get the points from the score sheets. Yeah. It's always helpful when people know how to reach these points and how to get these points. So
yeah, you're right. Right. So Orkun, let's turn to you. How do you prepare? I'm asking the same question to you because you competed in Brewers Cup, and I know that you work with Tim Wendelbo for many years. You have a team back in Norway. I know that, and also Duygu, your wife. And when do you start preparing, and how do you look for coffee? Just what do you advise the new competitors or who watches these competitions? What's your opinion about this?
I started to compete at the Burgos Cup 2000, end of the 2016. Also, we met in this year. You work with Nisa. In that year to this year, usually I started to practice 3 or 4 months ago. Depends on the when the current harvest came in Turkey. And at the 2000, end of the 2017, I started to work with the Tim Wendelboe. He's my coffee sponsor. In that year to this year, I brewed the Honduras coffee. I and Tim worked with the beautiful Caballeros family. And
I know.
I never visit before Honduras, but we still keep in touch from Instagram or WhatsApp or email. Usually I started to practice for 4 or 3 months before the competition, and usually I work with the recipe in 2 months, and when I decided the final recipe, usually it takes 2 months or sometimes 2 months or 3 months. It depends on the coffee's profile. And then I started my presentation. Yeah, just like that. And I work with my wife. She's also my coach. You said it before. And we work together for the presentation and we taste together. But usually I make the final decide of this recipe, but usually she decided my last presentation.
So the presentation side is on hers and the tasting side is on you, the last decision, I think. So what about the roasting part? You know, because this competition model, yours is one that's I think really feasible if you can't find a big team or if you don't have big sponsors behind you, working with foreign roaster that has direct relationship with farmers. That's I think really feasible. But how did you taste the roasts? Did they send you different roast profiles to taste to decide on, and the dates? I don't know, maybe the dates. And did they roast on a big Loring or a small Ikawa? What's the situation in your?
Usually they roast on the Loring. It's more stable to whole process, I think. And they sent me the 2 or 3 different profiles before the 4 months of the competition, and usually they decided to profile. But when they decided to find a profile, usually it's very good, actually.
Yeah.
It's not my decide, but usually it's very good. And when they finish the profile, process is going on to working with the recipes and
I see. Well, different kinds of preparation for you, both of you have. I think both is superb, and but Orkun's way is a bit more tiring. I think it's harder, you know, doing this from a long it's like a long distance relationship. You know, that's your roaster is far away, and you can't taste the same water and the same atmosphere. So that's a bit harder, I think. So
this year is a little bit dangerous. Last year at the 2020. At the beginning of the June, borders are taking my coffee when I arrived to Turkey, and I'm so afraid of that. Then we decided to cargoes are taken by Duygu's name, not my name. Usually when I order anything from the foreign countries, usually right now taken by the customs. And it's very dangerous this year, but
yeah, that's, I know that you flew to Norway to get coffee in the previous years, so yeah. It's the same for lots of baristas in Turkey, because the customs is always a problem. So this is really tiring for both of you guys. The competition, I know, for every barista, if you prepare for a year or even a week, it's always really tiring. So how do you guys keep yourself motivated? Because I've seen myself that why am I doing this? Why am I working for 10 hours a day for this competition? And I was in the verge of leaving it sometimes when I was preparing with Nisan, helping him. So how do you guys keep yourself motivated? What's the motivation with that? The basic question is, why do you compete? What's the motivation of competing for you guys? And ladies first again.
So my biggest motivation, I would say, is to get further, to educate myself and to learn.
Yeah.
And like a big part is also what I realized in the last years of competing, like meeting new people and networking. This is a thing. I've met so much amazing people due to the competitions. So I would say these things are, my biggest motivation. And like for now, what I can say is like I'm someone, if I have a goal, I really want to reach that, and there's no limit for me to achieve that goal. So that's kind of easy to motivate myself. But for this year and for the World Championships, as they are postponed for 3 times now, I mean, as you know, that
I know.
Not happening. It's the first time that I start to struggle, to be honest, like that I really feel like I'm exhausted, and it's very hard to keep on going flexible. And like the last months was like I was waking up and it was always competition. So how am I going to do this? I organized everything, the training area. As I moved to Berlin like last year, I had to set up a whole new team and a new place where to train. So I organized that, and I started to source for a coffee when Essen just got canceled. So to be honest, right now I just stay a step behind and like take a little bit of distance from it, to not go negative in a negative direction. So what I said to me and my team is like, what we do is we still keep going, trying and sourcing coffee. We just continue tasting and cupping, but everything else, I just make a break right now. I don't start to like prepare on the machine or roasting. So for now it's just having a look for coffee and ideas for presentation. That's all. I'm not doing something else for
I see. Yeah, you don't have to overwhelm yourself, you don't have to burn yourself, because it's really hard. It's been 2 years, and it's really hard to keep up with the same tempo, or the preparation and things. But you don't have to lose the connections with your team, with your farmer, with everything. So you have to continue. I can really understand. And Orkun, what's your motivation? How do you keep up with this? Why do you compete at first?
Yeah, at the beginning of my my profession, I don't think compete at Brewers Cup at the 2016 for 2017 Brewers Cup. But also Pınar Mursal'da, she insists me about to compete this year. And just like that, I started to compete at the Brewers Cup in that year. In that year, actually, I don't think about get any success at the Brewers Cup. I think it's a very beautiful motivation. Free your mind, just like the Matrix. Yeah, and I got the first place that year, but I don't think how can I to motivate myself. Just I don't mess with up the stage. I just think of that, and really, and I get really hard work for the presentation and the recipe in that year. After that, my motivation is a little bit bad because I'm just thinking about getting the first place again, and it's not good for your mind and for your psychology at the stage. And, other year, my motivation is was just like that. I must get first place again, and I got third place in that year. It's not that good. And last year, I'm tired of this psychology. I'm tired of this targets of the success. I'm not thinking of this, and actually, I don't get to try motivate myself last year for the competition. Just working and just practicing and just proving, just like that. And it will work. It was working.
Yeah, I know that psychology. It's really hard. Yeah.
Right now, I don't try to get motivate myself about the World Brewers Cup because it postponed at 2 times or 3 times. I don't count.
2 now. Hopefully not the third time. We'll see.
I just try to not get the COVID-19. Yeah, just like
yeah. That. We all. So, how did COVID-19 affect you guys with the interaction with your customers and when you work in the bar? Are you afraid to talk to them, or are people afraid to come close to bar? The coffee shops were open for only takeaway for a bit, but there have been times that they were all open, but during the pandemic. So were people afraid of coming to you or asking about coffee, or were you afraid to, or didn't want to just get too close to talk to them? I don't know. Tell about your coffee. Did the situation, the social situation in the shops change? Aylin first, what about?
I would say we need to say it in the different stages. Last year when we had the shutdown, everything was closed. Everyone was very nervous. No one knew what's going on. And then immediately in summer, the regulations were easing again and everything was open. Shops were open. In Germany, the summer felt like every summer, to be honest. It wasn't like, oh, there's Corona. I think people forget very fast. And I didn't have the feeling that people are like, oh, there's still Corona. I think we didn't realize how dangerous the whole situation and the pandemic is. So there were I would say there wasn't a problem with coming together and keeping distances. But then now in the second wave, everything was locked down and closed again. And now what I feel as I said, shops opened again last week in Germany, and I headed to a garden center, for example, on the weekend. It was super crowded and I was very uncomfortable that I left. So now I think it changed, as we have seen, and there's now the even harder cases of Corona. People now are more aware of the restrictions, I would say. But again, like I also said before, people are slowly tired of the restrictions. And what I feel right now, people really, really want to have their old life again, whatever it costs. A little bit, this is the how it comes to me. They want to see the shops open. If there's Corona or not, doesn't matter. Place. So it's hard. I'm very curious about the summer, how it will be, and people.
We'll see. Orkun, so were you in any of your shops after the opening the last week? And how was it? How was people? Were the shops crowded? Did the
Yeah.
people rush in to sit down and have a chat? And did they get close to bar, or were they afraid? Or was it just like that? They forgot about whole corona thing and let's party.
Actually, just like in Germany, lots of people forget or don't think about the COVID-19 pandemic. And yeah, some shops are really crowded right now, but some shops are not actually. But lots of people and lots of customers, I don't think why is that. Everyone is angry, and
Angry?
yeah, I don't know. Everyone is nervous
Wow.
When they came to coffee shop. Yeah.
The people are bored, I think.
Yeah.
It's been
I
really a
think
long
because of
time.
that. Yeah.
It's been really a long time.
And yeah, in the summer, cases are really going up.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see
I'll ask you guys one more final question, because I think we have to wrap up after that. We know that the competition fees are pretty overpriced. I've seen so expensive coffees that's used in competitions that it's not for normal people. Nobody can afford it to drink at home, and the lot sizes are so small that there's not enough coffee for people to buy to roast commercially. So what do you think about this? Does the competitions reflect the real life? I've seen some technologies or some fermentation techniques or some green bean varieties that's used in normal life that was first we saw at the competitions. But what do you think about this? What do you think about these experimental lots and techniques and brewing or extraction techniques? What do you guys think about that? Do you think that it reflects the real life, or is it just something that we can see on the stage only?
I personally think that, a lot of innovations and comes from the competitions, and slowly becoming also or implement in the daily life of a roastery or at the bar from extraction side. And I would say that, it depends to your own mentality and philosophy of competing. Is your philosophy of using a very expensive coffee, or do you want to compete with the coffee you can also use in daily life? So this is, for me personal, a very big thing. And what I can say, the coffee I used last year was a coffee you can buy in a coffee shop. Like people, it was a special coffee, and it's
not that special, that's,
to be honest,
of course it was special.
That was a specific decision of mine, because to be honest, the costs you have in a competition, it's like you need to have a team, you need to have a sponsor nowadays, otherwise it's getting very hard. And what I did last year was, to be honest, I made a kind of flea market. I used a lot of things like Erna has used before of her equipment, and I use equipment of mine I had from the competitions before. So last year I didn't buy too much equipment because it's very expensive, and I'm a fan of using it again, like second hand or like twice. So because you need to buy so much stuff for each competition, as the coffee. I know that on world stage it's totally different, that maybe you are more forced to get a coffee which is like very high end and like different fermentation techniques. But also, again, like I think you need to know what's your own goal and what's your philosophy. And if you know that, you can use the coffee you want. So what I take out from the competitions in my daily life is my working routines that really help me a lot. I have my workflow at the bar I took from the competitions. That's something really helped me now. I'm like able to work very clean and very efficient and talk to different people and do different things at the same time. But you need to pick the good things from the competitions to your daily routine, and
Yeah, I can understand. And what about you, Orkun? What do you think about those very expensive competition coffees and reflection of your stage presentations on your daily shop, your daily life at your coffee shop?
Actually, my competition coffee is not too expensive. Also, it's not an experimental process. It's classic wash process from Honduras. The variety is geisha, but it's also tastes very beautiful. But I think the most of experimental process competition coffees, it's not affordable by the customers, and especially in Turkey. And when you get some really high price experimental process at the competitions, you can buy only few bags of this coffee, and you can't get much more practice about those coffees. But if you have any some taste beautiful coffees, but it's not too expensive, you can much more practice about that coffee. It's more practical for the competitions, I think. Because of that, lots of competitors last year disqualified or not get high points from their brews or presentations.
Yeah, I can see. So yeah, I think it's different choices, and it's about what you have ability to use. It's all about what you can use, what you have in your hand. So I can understand that, the different choices. So guys, thank you for your time. That was really great to have you too. Hopefully the pandemic gets over soon, and we can have this chat in a table physically, hopefully. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.